Just a few years ago, I was a completely broke college student majoring in mechanical engineering, and I was also working part-time as a lifeguard making $12 an hour, and I just knew that I was meant for more. When my head hit the pillow at night, I knew that I could be doing more. I knew that I was destined for more than just this average life where you're working an average job living paycheck to paycheck. Fast forward 6 months later, I was making anywhere from 14 to 22K per month at the age of 19. And in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain and I'm going to show you exactly how that happened so that you can model it for yourself. And before we dive in, I want to make something abundantly clear. This is not some get-rich-quick scheme. This is not something that you're going to make 10 to 15K per month doing no work and there's going to be no problems, no setbacks at all. This is not the case. If you're looking for something like that, I'm sure there's some guru out there that would love to sell you some false dream and some false promise and take all your money. But if you're looking for something where you can build your skill sets and find something real where you can make 10K per month, that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. So my freshman year of college, I started dabbling around the idea of attempting to start making money online. And just like everybody else, I tried a couple different business models from a bunch of different gurus and failed with them before I really found my breakthrough. I tried drop shipping and I burned a good amount of money. I did trading and lost some money there. I did affiliate marketing and actually made some money, but it wasn't anything too substantial. Like I wasn't making 10K per month with it. And then I really had a breakthrough moment that I'm going to share with you right now. So you know how there's all these different gurus on the internet. One guy's telling you to go do this business model. Then one guy's telling you to go do that. Then one guy's telling you to go do that. All these different people with all this different messaging. Ironically enough, I started to come to the realization that all of these people were saying to do all these different business models, but they were actually all running the same business. They were offering a coaching program or an online course to an audience on social media. And so instead of listening to what they were actually saying, instead, I started looking at what they were actually doing. Majority of these people were making their money by selling the course or the coaching program. And sure, maybe they were teaching a business model that had made them money, but there was a reason why they were selling this thing. And I know there's going to be some people in the comments that don't like the idea of selling a course or a coaching program, and fair enough, like I get it, but at the same time, the college institution and the education system is also terrible, so it's like you can kind of understand it. And so for me, instead of complaining about the realities of the world with all these people selling courses and coaching programs, I started to think about how I could potentially use this to my advantage. You see, we are in a digital gold rush right now, and if you didn't already realize, this industry is projected to double over the next couple of years. Now, am I saying that you should go out and sell a course or a coaching program? Absolutely not. And this is what we're going to talk about because I was 19 years old when I came to this realization. I was out of shape. I didn't have a ton of money. I didn't have a ton of life experience. How was I going to sell a course or a coaching program? That literally wouldn't make sense. The solution and the realization that I came to is instead of me trying to create one of my own or start all these complex business models, why don't I just go in and instead work for an already existing successful business in the info product space. And this is the essence of doing what I call high ticket sales. Now, maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but essentially it's you partnering up with an influencer or with a team that is led by an influencer and doing sales on their behalf. These people are busy creating content, managing and overseeing their team, analyzing data, helping their students. They do not have time to go in on social media and respond to every single person that's messaging them about their help. And they also don't have time to take 30 to 45-minute Zoom calls, like 4 or 5 or 6 of these per day. So they hire people like me to do that. And so after coming to this realization at 19 years old, just a couple weeks later, I started the process of me becoming an appointment setter. Essentially, I was an appointment setter. I worked with an influencer or a business owner, and my main duty and my main responsibility was logging into their Instagram and messaging the people that were following them, that were liking their content, that were engaging in their comments, that were DMing them, and just responding back to these people on the business owner's behalf. Now, as an appointment setter, your goal isn't to actually sell the product. Your goal is to literally just set an appointment with the people that are serious about getting more information about the product. So if you were working for an influencer that taught moms how they can lose weight, your goal isn't to actually sell the moms on how to lose the weight. Your goal is to literally just book them in for a meeting where on the meeting, either the business owner or what's called a closer will jump on that meeting and actually sell the mom on a weight loss package. So this was super easy for me to understand just as a college student. It was very, very simple. And with doing appointment setting, I was able to make anywhere from 3 to 5K per month doing that. My first 2 weeks were really slow because obviously there's a learning curve with it. But after that, I started making $3,000 in the following month. Then after that, it was like 4.4K. And then after that, it was just under 5K. Now for me, this led me to approximately the end of my first year in college. So I was finishing up my college and I was making 5K per month. I was also working part-time as a lifeguard, finishing my exams. It was super, super stressful during the finals week. But After that, I had the entire summer to go home and to lock in on this stuff. And so the real beauty of doing something like high ticket sales, and this is why I recommend it for most beginners, is because you can actually do it in addition to a 9 to 5 job or in addition to school. You can start getting to the point where you're making a couple $1,000s a month. Maybe this is 3K, 5K. I've seen even people making 8K while they're still working full time. And then they're able to remove that extra thing and just go all in. Like for me, I quit my job and I had the summer off of school that I could really just focus for a good 3-4 months on this stuff. And during those 3-4 months when I didn't have school, I started really focusing on getting to the next level in high ticket sales, which is becoming a closer. As I said earlier, the appointment setter, all their responsibility is to just book the meeting for somebody else to take. Now, when you start getting into closing, now you're the person that actually jumps on a Zoom meeting with somebody for 30 to 45 minutes. You handle their objections, you talk about their problems in way more detail, and then you end up selling them a solution if it makes sense. And so I'll throw up a picture here, but this is an example of me sitting in my parents' basement after my first year of college, taking a Zoom meeting, selling somebody for $4,000 on how they can grow their social media following. And so after doing this and transitioning into becoming both a setter and a closer at the same exact time, I started really making substantial money. Again, you got to consider with a lot of these businesses are making $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, and sometimes even more than that in certain situations. And so they're paying appointment setters and closers 5%, 10%. You can see how that can stack up relatively quickly. About 2 months after finishing my first year of college, when I fully started locking in and learning the skill of closing, I started making $14,500 per month, as you can see on the screenshot right here. This was with me doing both setting and closing. And so this is what's called being a hybrid. So obviously I was putting in a lot of work doing this, but I was able to make a good amount of money and build a fuck ton of skills and experience, which is incredibly valuable. Now, again, like I talked about earlier in this video, this is not something where you're just going to be able to do nothing all day and just make all this money. Like, you're doing sales. And so you're having to put in work, you're having to build your skills, you're having to get experience. But the reality is, and you'll come to this realization eventually if you haven't hit it already, but the boring things and the non-flashy things are usually the things that actually make you money, and they have a high probability of actually working when you focus on it. When you do business models like trading and drop shipping, where it's just flashy money, everybody's like flexing their $5,000 days or their crazy $30,000 months where they don't actually make that much money from it, and they're flexing their lifestyle on you 24/7. Like, these things definitely can work, but the probability of them working for somebody like you just isn't very high. Whereas something like sales is actually stable and it's consistent. The beauty of something like this is it's not a luck game, it is a skills game. As you get better, as you become more valuable in the marketplace, you make more and more money. And so if you want to follow down the same exact path that I went down, this is what I would do in 2025 headed into 2026. The first thing that I would do is I would become an appointment setter. You can either be a DM appointment setter, which obviously you have a lot of freedom because you can just type messages from your phone, or you can become a phone appointment setter where you're calling leads, but it's the same exact principle. You're not actually selling people on these calls. You're just setting an appointment for somebody else. If you're somebody that has some sort of commitments, whether it's school or whether it's some 9-to-5 job or whether it's some part-time job, this is something that you can do in addition to that, to where you can start building some momentum online, you can start making some money, and then you can evaluate your future from there. Again, I did this while I was full-time in college and while I was working 20 to 30 hours a week as a lifeguard. And so you literally have no excuse to not make something like this work. So step 1 is learning about appointment setting, and step 2 is getting on a roll. Now, I have tons of videos on my channel on how you can actually get in contact with influencers and get on a roll. Basically, there's a free version where you can do Instagram outreach, or there's a paid version where you can partner directly with me and I can just place you inside of these businesses. Step 3 is pretty much when you're in the business and you're already making a little bit of money and you're building your skill. This is where you become a student of the game. Just like sports, just like anything that you try to get good at in life, your number one goal is to obsess over how you can become better every single day. So what do you do in situations like this? You work with AI, you review your conversations and look for insights. You analyze trends and data and you figure out what's working versus what's not working. And this allows you to start to build a foundational skill of sales. Now, with this as an appointment setter, usually you'll be making at the bare minimum $3,000 per month. And at the high end, if you're on a really good offer, talking like 7-8K per month. Then from there, you essentially have the opportunity and the position to go all in and transition into being a closer. Now, as a closer, you can usually work about 5 to 6 hours per day because you're taking about 4 to 5 30 to 45-minute sales calls every single day. In closing, it's very common to make at least 10K per month. And on the high ends, you can make anywhere from 20 to 30K per month if you're really, really good and you're on a really, really good offer. Then what I would recommend, and this is what I tell most of my students to do, is as a closer, you should milk that for about a year, and you should just get some really good experience, some really good skill building, and you should bring in some really good cash for about a year. And then after that, then you can consider like starting your own business, whether it's an agency, whether it's a coaching program, whether it's an AI thing, something like that. This makes it so that when you eventually start your own business, which we all want to do, you're much more likely to actually succeed with it because you have the money, you have the skills, you have the experience to be able to crush it in that realm. Now, the thing is this requires actual work. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be turned away from that. But again, the boring stuff, the non-flashy stuff is what actually works. So this is the exact process that I follow down. This is the exact process that I would recommend for people in 2025, headed into 2026 to follow down, especially if you're a young man that really wants to create success for you in your own life and eventually for like a future family, or maybe even your current family. If you want help going through this exact same process and you want me as your one-on-one mentor to hold your hand through the entire thing, I got you. I run a one-on-one coaching program where I help young guys go through the exact full process of going from 0 to 10K per month in high ticket sales. I help you build up your initial skill. Then I place you on a job opportunity. Then I help you build your skill when you're in that job opportunity. And then I help you go through the process of becoming a closer, so on and so forth. But if you're not quite ready for that yet, just go check out some of the other videos on my YouTube channel and you can see a little bit more about what that actually looks like. If you're interested though in one-on-one help and one-on-one support, I'll leave a link down below in the description where you can book a call with myself. On that call, you and I will talk a little bit more about where you're at right now, where you want to get, and even if this makes sense for you based on your current position. Then if it does, I'll explain how it works for you. But this is the full story on how I went from being a broke college kid to making 15 to 20K per month online. Hopefully this video gave some value for you. And if it didn't, hopefully at the very least, I inspired a couple people out there to make changes in your life and to improve and be better. You guys take care and have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.